War is an armed struggle between states or peoples, between classes within a state. This formulation from the internet is similar to the fact that the grass is green and it is cold in winter. Let's look into the causes of wars. What was and will be with these terrible manifestations of people's social life? Before the formation of states, the cause of wars between families and tribes was the struggle for food and hunting fields. Wars were driven by survival instincts. When people began to engage in agriculture and organized states, greed began to manifest itself in the behavior of the most capable and strong members of society. It is an unlimited desire to own material and spiritual values. Rulers and the rich seized once communal lands, tools, and the results of public labor. Living beings, people and states are products of the universe. Therefore, everything that happens in the state in interstate relations occurs according to the canons of the universe. The laws of thermodynamics are the main ones by which energy develops, turning into structures of substances and living beings. It is in complex systems of substances and subtle energy. As at the beginning of the Big Bang in the first states, wherever they appeared on Earth, economic tension arose between the rich and poor members of society due to the unfair distribution of goods. The rulers and the rich restrain it with the tyranny of the state political system, the army, the police, the courts and prisons. According to the laws of thermodynamics, economic tension and the pressure of the political system should decrease over time, as it happens in the universe with temperature and pressure. The decrease in economic tension and the tyranny of the state occurs in waves. Because this is a less energy-intensive way of movement and development of everything. When the degree of economic inequality and tyranny of rulers fluctuates and reaches a local maximum, a war occurs between the poor and rich stratas of society. Within a state, these wars are called uprisings. If the state system changes as a result of such wars, this is called a revolution. The greed of the rulers, like steam from an overheated boiler, escapes into the external environment. There, greed robs neighboring states. The greater the difference in the levels of development of the warring states, the more greed manifests itself. The robbers, as if in connected vessels, not only take away valuables, natural and human resources, but also impose their economic relations, faith and state structure on the conquered colonies. Since the times of the slavery, states have been fighting among themselves almost continuously and indiscriminately. They were limited only by their technical capabilities. Ancient Egyptian rulers reached only their closest neighbors. Alexander the Great had already conquered countries in the Middle East and North Africa. Not only because his troops used advanced chariots and new methods of warfare. They were a gang of greedy conquerors. Their greed was so great that neither losses in battles nor the difficulties of mountain crossings could stop them. For some time, the leader of conquests was the Tatar-Mongol Empire. With its military campaigns, it penetrated Europe, creating the largest empire of the time of Genghis Khan. The absolute champion of all times in terms of the number of conquered territories was the English Empire. This was facilitated by its medieval greed and a relatively high level of technical development against the backdrop of the backwardness of the countries of America, the Middle East and the Far East. The states there, at the height of British colonialism, were mostly at the level of the slave system. It is surprising how modern sociologists, historians, and artists idealize greedy robbers. Thus, many laudatory texts have been written and pathetic feature films have been made about Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, Napoleon and other villains. For example, Prince Vladimir, revered even today and canonized, was a fratricide, polygamist and rapist. His entire life was an organized series of predatory wars and murders of relatives. The rulers of all other states were more or less successful and greedy killers. They are chosen by the people to carry out the program of development of social relations laid down by the laws of the universe. This requires great losses of energy in the form of death and suffering, mainly of poor people. But still, the true manager of wars are greed and tensions between layers of society and the hardening of relations between states. It has already been said that the intelligentsia often incorrectly imagines the role of individuals in unleashing and managing wars. We often read and hear on the screens, Julius Caesar conquered Gaul, Hitler attacked Poland, Stalin defeated fascist Germany, Bush, at the head of an international coalition, defeated Iraq. Not a single chariot, tank or plane could have advanced onto the battlefield, and not a single soldier would have risked his life, if there had not been greed, the economic interest it generates, political pressure and the stupefaction of people with the propaganda of rulers and the rich. Let us recall the test tube with white powder in the hand of the U.S. Secretary of State before the attack on Iraq. It is very dangerous for the existence of humanity that the reduction of economic tension and the tyranny of states is slower than the avalanche-like scientific and technological progress. Greedy rulers and owners of military-industrial complexes use the most advanced discoveries of scientists. Earlier, arrows and chariots were improved over thousands of years. The history of the discovery of gunpowder, firearms, radio communication in wars, the construction of tanks, huge military ships, airplanes, the production of the first rockets, atomic bombs, computers, and the rise of weapons in space testify to the avalanche-like improvement of the means of killing people. Particularly dangerous for us can be the use of artificial intelligence for the desire to satisfy the boundless greed of the rich and the rulers appointed by them. The production of modern weapons and the provocation of wars still bring the greatest profits. We are at an interesting level of development of society. The coming information society with minimal internal tensions and a high intellectual level of people automatically excludes both internal and external wars. Now it is very important that the largest and most tense states quickly cross the capitalist stage of their development. And this has become noticeable lately. Not as quickly as we would like. But against the background of millennia of continuous wars, our progress is rapid. We must remember that this clip is only a dry theory. And the tree of life will be green forever.